From primeval time, marine mammals have been evolution's royal heir. They are sovereigns of the sea. The warm blood coursing through their veins bestows them with a power elsewhere unsurpassed. We, as mammals who rule the land, know little of those that rule the deep. Their behavior mystifies us. Their capabilities bewilder us. Their intricate sounds, their elaborate brains, the bonds they make with their young, the bonds they seem to seek with us, all are ancient riddles that still confound the modern mind. Here in freedom, Cousteau and his team will not measure mammal against man. They will seek to see what visions await if the family of man instead is seen as but a member of the majestic family of mammals.
Infinity beckons humanity. We, who hunger for companionship, reach to distant planets, searching for even a drop of water, the cosmic sign of life. Our expeditions end in dryness, desolation, dust. Obsessed with lifelessness in space, we have disinherited ourselves from life on Earth. There is a water planet.
The sea, indeed, is the womb of life. Here the first cell took shape, with DNA and its genetic codes implanted like a seed within. Creatures adapted to meet the menace of their environment, and eon after eon, they endowed their improvements to the future.
The miracle of life defies the universal law of degradation, continually becoming ever more intricate. This phenomenon inspired the French philosopher Teilhard de Chardin to envision three infinities. There is the infinitely big, of course, and the infinitely small. To them, Teilhard added the infinitely complex, life itself.
Landmarks of time, nerves, jaws, vertebrates. Finally, the cold sea embraced the model of cold blood, the shark. After billions of years in its liquid cradle, life came to land. Creatures now developed a new trait to help them master the onerous pull of terrestrial gravity. Warm blood with high central temperatures, the body's inner combustion engine could be even more powerful. The mammal appeared, quivering with energy, endurance, and formidable strength. Ancient bones have just been found in Southern California. Cousteau visits the remote site with the son of paleontologist Lawrence Barnes, who is directing a dig for the Los Angeles County Natural History Museum.
These hills were once submerged in primal sea. The bones here are scattered pieces to a prehistoric puzzle. After millions of years spent adapting to land, some mammals returned to water. No one knows why. Motivations are not buried in clay, only broken skeletons, fragmented answers.
Good morning.
What'd you find?
We found a fossil skull of a baleen whale. It's about 14 or 15 million years old. And the front end of the skull is up here. And the brain case is back here. The blowholes are between these, and the lower jaw lies to the side.
How far back were fossils of whales found?
Fossil whales are known from at least 45 million years ago.
45 million years. And is that about the time when some mammals came back to the ocean?
Yes.
Or is it still further back?
Well, it was at least at that time, perhaps a little older, when they actually entered the sea.
This is what the lower jaw of one of the earliest whales ever found looks like, yes.
Where's your shark tooth? To me, these teeth look a little bit like shark teeth. Triangular and pointed. And do we know anything about the land ancestor of the first whales?
The group of animals that most paleontologists think that whales came from had relatives that looked like this. This is a rather close approximation of what we think the whales' land ancestors really were like.
What science proposes seems like sorcery. A wolf-like beast takes the shape of a sea serpent. Nostrils inch up the snout. Front legs shorten. Hind legs slowly disappear. In the Oceanographic Museum of Monaco, where he is director, Cousteau ponders a forgotten remnant of evolution. Vestigial hip bones, which once supported two hind legs, suspended in the hind portions of modern whales, now wedged uselessly into flesh, a spectral inheritance from ancestors that roamed the land.
Deep within the liquid world, land traits vanish into time. Liberated from gravity, Leviathan has become more mountain than mammal. His giant bulk helps him maintain mammalian temperatures in this chilling realm, for water draws off heat 20 times faster than air. The languid vertical beat of tail flukes belies their estimated 500 horsepower force. A pinniped or fin-footed mammal, the elephant seal moves on land by heaving his weight like a 2-ton worm. I pity him on shore, but envy him at sea, where his two hind flippers, permanently extended behind him, propel his mass with supple grace. Sea lions can still gallop on land almost as fast as stallions. Yet they too can soar through the undersea by waving their front flippers like wings in water. The tiny sea otter relies on his coat, the densest fur on Earth, to keep him warm and completely dry in water. Least adapted of sea mammals, he only begins to acquire the water world's own ethnic traits. His flattened tail and hind legs provide a triple paddle, and webbing connects the digits of his paws. But my playful friend is still dexterous with tools, fetching rocks to crack open sea urchins like an elfin epicure.
The darkness of the water world brought about another adaptation. Mammals augmented their vision with their voices. The Calypso team listens as mammals bring sound to the silent world. Pilot whales whistle to communicate. They use the clicking sounds, called echolocation, like sonar, to locate objects and scan terrain underwater. The rarely recorded squeal of the manatee may mean this placid sea cow is moved to fearfulness or protest. Bearded Arctic seals sing a haunting song that can travel for miles in water, which carries sound more efficiently than air. Sea life scatters at the cry of orca, the killer whale. Whalers liken the doleful bellow of baleen, or toothless whales, to the moans of drowning sailors. The right whale often sends a long, complicated message of grunts, belches, and sighs, then listens as another whale responds. Each dolphin has its own signature whistle. Some of its sounds hit such high frequencies that they are audible to humans only when replayed at slower speeds. Experts say that dolphin echolocation is 10 times more precise than our most sophisticated sonar. Since dolphins have no vocal cords, some scientists believe the clicks may originate in their nasal passages. Dolphin sounds outnumber the words in Racine's tragedies. Yet scientists say that to call their repertoire a language may debase it, excluding limitless unknown possibilities for which the creatures may use their clicks and cries. Jean-Michel Cousteau has come to South Carolina with Dr. Louis Wrigley, a biologist studying the dolphins of these salt marshes. Intrigued by Wrigley's descriptions of strange dolphin behavior, Jean-Michel has brought hydrophone equipment to eavesdrop on the bizarre rituals to follow. The clicks speed as the dolphins hone in on the object of their sonar. Then one creature whistles, and together they lurch to land. Never before has the process been filmed. The whistle appears to be a command signal on which all the dolphins act. After they return to water, the shore is pitted with the deep clefts where the animals thrust their fins into the mud, probably to slow their ride down the sloping, slippery banks.
Lou, I've looked for this behavior for at least 3 years. And what is the real motivation, in your opinion?
Well, I think the dolphins are finding an easy way to catch more fish than singling out one fish in the water as they come to a school of fish, because they herd this school of fish along the shallow bank less than a meter deep, so the dolphin's in very shallow water, and then suddenly he gets the fish where he wants them, and he makes a circle, and sometimes his tail is right next to his nose, and in this circle will be the fish, and then suddenly, whoosh, up on the bank, the dolphin completely comes out of the water, beaches on the bank, and then these fish are flopping, and then very carefully he just grabs up the fish, and so he gets 5 or 6 or 10 fish instead of finding one in a school of fish as he hunts the school.
Their feast spills from the waves like fruits from a cornucopia. Wrigley's samples reveal that the dolphins, which usually eat mullet, are now chasing menhaden, a smaller fish that is abundant in these midsummer months. Dolphins land on their right sides. They may, in a sense, be right-handed. By beaching themselves, the animals defy theories about whales that strand on shore and die. Experts have proposed that sand disrupts their sonar system by absorbing the echoes of their clicks. The dolphins of the mudflats have yet to hear of this proposal. They casually leave yet one more mystery in their wake. Calypso diver Dominique Soumillon listens one more time. The dolphins clearly cooperate in this menhaden roundup, working together to encircle their catch and drive them to the beach out of the murky waters where the hunt is difficult. But group cohesion never stopped a loner who was hungry for leftovers.
No mysteries surround one aspect of the mammal's life at sea. They either breathe or they die. Like Achilles' curse, oxygen endows strength below, compromised by one weakness, the need for air above. Manatee and whale alike are sovereigns of the sea, but slaves to the surface.
Biblical sages wrote that whales spout a smoke which rises from the nostrils as from a boiling kettle. The blow sometimes erupts 50 feet into the sky. It proclaims the creature's identity. The toothed whale is known by one blowhole, the baleen whale by two. Mothers smoothly nudge infants to the surface, cradling them as they draw in air. When this humpback youngster grows, he may submerge for 20 minutes. But the inevitability of his ascent can turn the breath of life into the harbinger of death. For whalers who wait above can easily calculate his return. Cousteau clocks diving whales.
Did she sound already? Elle a ressondé, hein? Combien? 6 minutes at the moment.
The creature spouts on schedule. This time for the camera, not the harpoon.
The Calypso team has come to an archipelago in the South Pacific to study a celebrated pearl diver named Tanoa. Underwater, man and sea mammals share a dive reflex. Our pulses slow, and blood streams give priority to heart and brain. Yet man cannot compete with marine mammals. His body stores less oxygen. He cannot tolerate much carbon dioxide. And if he disregards his limitations, he will lose consciousness and drown. On lung power alone, even Tanoa can trespass here no more than a few minutes. With the aqualung, man can linger. Still, he must guard against the fatal whims of nitrogen narcosis and the bends. Even with the magic of his man-made lungs, he too must leave with work undone sights unseen, vast expanses unexplored. Mammals adapted to the deep 50 million years before we humans stood to walk on Earth. Still, we are ill-acquainted with the patriarchs who abide beside us. Dolphins symbolize the infinite unknowns. How do they swim so swiftly? They even passed me once as I, in disbelief, stood aboard a Navy cruiser racing at full speed. They move in choreographic unison. Their bodies brush, their flippers touch. Their brains have some similarities to ours. Could they be intelligent? Do they lack only hands? Hands with which humans record ideas and build on dreams. If they have even a capacity for intelligence, the prospects would be thrilling. My noble escorts, your mystic promises suffice. The quest to know you better is a worthy Odyssey.
In waters off of northwestern Spain, farmers raise clams on chains that rise like enchanted trees in an undersea forest. Here the Calypso team learned man and dolphin met. Luis Celeres was harvesting his mussels one day when he turned to see a dolphin watching. He reached to touch his apparition. She nestled closer. Day after day, his new friend Nina returned. What happened to Luis must have happened before. Plutarch wrote that dolphins alone love man for his own sake. Other ancients thought that the creatures were repentant pirates, now gentle to atone for past chicanery.
Nina came willingly from the ocean wilds. Perhaps she had been banished from her family. Perhaps a human caress was her desperate remedy for loneliness. But then again, perhaps she and Louis only rediscovered the secret of friendship that the ancient Greeks once took with them to their tombs. But how did it start, really? I mean, one morning you came out of your home and there was Dolly?
No, she was over in the other canal, my neighbors. And then she started coming over here and going back and forth. And we started feeding her, and she just decided to stay here rather than over there, and she's been here ever since.
The first time you saw her come here, what was your reaction?
I was tickled to death to see her, but I was afraid of her.
You were afraid? Why?
I don't know. She's awful big. And like I said, Kelly Ann was the one that started with her.
Who?
Kelly.
The little girl?
Mm-hmm.
She started?
She started with her.
What do you mean?
Started touching her and playing with her and swimming with her, and she tried to get me to do it. And the first time I touched her, I just went like that. And then at that time, I wouldn't even touch a piece of fish.
So Kelly was the most daring?
Mm-hmm. And I make her wear a ski belt. She's not afraid of anything. She loves animals. Down that way. Dolly.
Not long after Dolly befriended the family, Jean discovered the secret behind the animal's cleverness. The dolphin had been a U.S. Navy recruit.
Well, what's all the bubbles for, baby? Thank you. Good girl.
Dolly's classified training had concerned underwater reconnaissance. A natural leader, she would even wallop other dolphins who made mistakes. After 8 years of training, the Navy deemed her incorrigible and set her free. 5 days later, and 50 miles away, Dolly adopted the Aspreys.
Good girl. Thank you. Thank you, Dolly. Good girl. Thank you. Good girl. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, pick all three up, Dolly.
Dolly's former trainers, who have heard of her whereabouts, maintain an admiration for their pupil and help Jean to continue teaching the animal. They have called Dolly the most highly trained dolphin in the world.
Beautiful. Good. Yes, that's good. Good girl. Thank you. Yes.
Dolly, once trained to use her sonar while patrolling shipyards for enemy frogmen, easily finds a penny buried in the muddy bottom. Jean says she can even tell pennies from dimes.
Okay, here she comes.
Don't swallow him, Dolly. Did you bring it to Mommy? Spit. She got one.
You got one. Nice.
Dolly has never lost a coin from Jean's store of pocket change.
Spit. Ah, very good. Yes, you are. Oh, that's very good. Well, you're gonna really show off, huh? Can you tell Mommy you're pretty? Pretty girl. Pretty girl. Yes, you are pretty. Yes, you are. And you're gonna be a pretty girl? Pretty girl. Yes, you are. You're a pretty girl. Let's go.
The animal thrives on Jean's mothering. Like a 400-pound foundling, Dolly eagerly waits each morning behind the Aspreys' house, ready for another day's adoption. She constantly calls to them, begging attention. Dolly's great prize is approval, and the prize of prizes is approval from Jean. But the human voice that makes her spirits soar can also make them sink.
Give me a kiss. I'm not mad. She'll do that sometimes. If I change the tone of my voice and be real demanding, she'll get all hurt like. Then she'll stop blinking her eyes, so she knows she can get away with it. Come on, Dolly. Mommy's not mad. Come on, girl. Dolly. Come on. Will you give me a kiss? Oh, come on. Give Mommy a kiss. Come on. That's a good girl.
Racing with the Zodiac is Dolly's favorite pastime. Her last years in the Navy were not quite so exultant. Her original trainers told Jean that Dolly had been taken from them and put in a new program where she wasn't fed if she failed to do her job. When Dolly began going on her own fishing expeditions, she was penned for nearly a year. When the Zodiac leaves the canal and approaches the ocean, Dolly slows. Sometimes she turns and slips back home alone. The open sea has no allure for her. She is resolute. She will not venture beyond a property marker that stands like a road sign to the Atlantic.
Dolly.
Et ça change rien. Nourriture, affection. Incroyable. Dolly! You think she might remember the pen she was in on the other side before she left the Navy?
I think this could be bringing back memories to her, trying to get her out. This is the way she came in, or came in some other way. But, and she might figure that we want to get rid of her, to take her back. And she just doesn't want to go.
She's happier where she is now.
She's perfectly contented.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't. As she's free, she would leave anyway.
Yeah, because see, I've never pinned her. She's never been locked in the pen.
Cousteau descends to find his skittish friend. he carries a device Gene uses to signal Dolly.
Unlike Nina, Dolly was once captured, forced into her first human contacts. Forced behavior is perverted behavior. Dolly does tricks performed in every marine park, yet she's different. She has a twofold freedom. She's free to go, and she's free to stay. Her performances are her willing gift. Dolly's light-hearted high jumps leave me with a perplexing question. Why won't dolphins leap like this when doing so could save their lives?
Cousteau has acquired a floating pen in order to study dolphins briefly at sea. With one jump, the animals could easily clear the buoys and swim away. They don't. This unexplained inertia can turn lethal. Tuna swim under certain dolphin species. Fishermen net dolphins which swim at the surface in order to capture the unseen tuna below. Once surrounded by nets, dolphins serve no further purpose for the fishermen. Yet the creatures that jump 15 feet at play won't jump an inch to freedom.
With just small buoys,
Cousteau discusses the puzzle with skipper Harold Medina.
They seem to be unable to guess that they could escape by jumping above it. Why is that?
No. We've wondered that same thing. We'd always thought that possibly that when we'd encircle these porpoise, they would just jump over the net. It would be a lot easier for us than for them, but
yeah,
they just have never done that.
So I understand that you have developed a way to help them escape.
Yes. Taking this net here, which is measurements of 4 1/4 is what we've been using. When we first were backing these porpoise out or trying to get them out of the net, as the porpoise would swim and try to find their way clear, their nose would get entrapped in between one of these mesh. Consequently, they don't swim in reverse, they'd only swim ahead and they would drown themselves. So I had some special net made up, which was 2-inch mesh in size. And the porpoise would swim up to this net in this area. They would hit this mesh, this smaller mesh rather, and they wouldn't entrap themselves, and they'd gradually slide up and over the top of the corks, and they would be free.
But then you had to make a passage for them.
Yes, we had to have a certain area where we'd back down each time, and this net was ready there waiting for them to hit and go over the top. And it saved an awful lot of animals. This was the key to the whole system.
U.S. law, which limits the numbers of dolphins the fishermen can kill each year, now requires that every American tuna vessel use Medina's net. The tuna boat encircles the dolphins with what is known as a purse seine, a net with drawstrings on the bottom, which are pulled to prevent the tuna from escaping below. When the dolphins are encompassed, the ship backs up slightly. Released tension makes the back of the net drop down, and the dolphins are free to swim out, no longer entrapped by the spiderweb weave of the old loose nets. Still, the dolphins need prodding. Some creatures simply sink tail first in a torpor into their deadly netted shrouds. Divers guide the animals underwater while aides and boats help from above. Despite the improvements, tens of thousands of dolphins still die in the process, often because of mechanical failure or currents that collapse the net.
If dolphins have the kind of intelligence that humans do, why don't they scheme their escape? Dolphins do not have human intelligence. They have an intelligence that is uniquely their own. They may seem incomprehensible to us, but no more so than we are to them.
In the waters off Iki Island in Japan, it is the incomprehensible human intellect that makes its mark. To Iki fishermen, dolphins are the gangsters of the sea, thieving the waters of catch. Each year, the angry islanders drive the mammals to the shallows, drag them on the beach, stab them, then let them bleed to death. In 1 year alone, 2,000 dolphins died. Yet still the catch dwindles.
The scapegoat complex. A child breaks a vase and blames the cat. A nation overfishes and blames the dolphin. All around the world, other nations repeat the error. They ravage lobster beds and blame the seals. They desolate abalone banks and blame sea otters. They can't amortize their fishing fleets and blame the whales. The culprit is always God or Satan or nature, never human beings. We are perpetual innocents, always pointing an accusing finger, never pointing to a mirror.
Calypso glides steadily into the shimmering Gulf of San Jose in southern Argentina. The local government has made the bay a sanctuary, not just of peace, but promise. Here, endangered right whales are granted refuge to mate, give birth, and raise their young. Known for the distinctive patterns on their calloused brows, white with lice and barnacles, these creatures were dubbed the right whales to hunt because they float after death. Whalers pursued them relentlessly. No one knows how few remain. As they edge toward Philippe's zodiac, the right whales prove that the Ahabs of real life were frauds. It took no daring to plunge a harpoon into this gentle giant.
A wild elephant would splinter an approaching human with one thundering charge. Yet the whale colossus steadies its flukes so as not to graze our divers. Is this tenderness? Or are we nothing more than negligible nuisances, human flies buzzing at the nose of Gargantua? A more pressing question hangs in the balance. Can these dwindled herds sustain their species? We can only hope. They struggle to revive their race. Perhaps here we will be witness to the rebirth of Leviathan.
Waters churn. The team recognizes the threatened species' most momentous act, procreation. The female turns her white piebald belly to the surface, avoiding her two suitors below. With massive fins, the persistent males stroke her gleaming body in long and slow caress. When she rolls in submission, the rivals shove and scratch each other on their barnacles, their reproductive organs extending perhaps 5 feet, until one paramour finally wins her favors. After only 8 seconds, the bull will disengage and rise for air, then dive to continue. The rejected whale swims in frenzied circles as he awaits his turn. Couplings can last for hours. On the blue deep bed of the sea, as D.H. Lawrence wrote, mountain pressing on mountain, the zest of life. Far north, in the Bering Sea, resilient fur seals have overcome extinction. Each June, more than 1 million seals come to breed on the Pribilof Islands. In the weeks that follow, a pup will be born every 10 seconds. A cameraman rushes to record delivery. The pup comes forth in moments. Its rubbery flippers brush aside the amniotic sac. Unlike cold-blooded creatures, whose motherhood begins and ends with the release of countless eggs, the mammal nurtures her offspring within the womb to give birth to a living being. The cow produces only 1 pup each pregnancy. The pup is always within her sight. She will not leave the infant, even to eat, for a week. Another mark of the mammal is the mammary gland, young who suckle. On milk 12 times more rich than a cow's, a 100-pound elephant seal pup will triple his weight in a month. His mother, meanwhile, will lose a 1/4 ton.
Once savagely hunted, only 100 seals remained here on Guadalupe Island when the Mexican government granted them protection early in the century. As we arrive here, thousands of seals lay in heaps everywhere. The island is a sex and milk bank, the beasts all mating with each other, the females giving milk to any pup that wanders by. What has happened with these seals also happens with humans. In difficult times, they obey strict rules. In opulence, society degenerates. It is almost always a mistake to compare animals to humans, but there are no limits to what we can learn about humans by watching animals.
Mammals are also models of parental care and training. In this sense, the lethargic sea cow is supreme. She nurses her calf from glands at the base of her fins for a full 1.5 years. Though the infant can swim from birth, she cradles him almost continuously. The improbable shape of the sea cow rocking her babe once gave rise to the myth of the mermaid. Only the calf swims at his mother's side. The rest of these solitary animals swim in single file. Roving all the seas of the earth, killer whales travel in tightly knit family units. A dominant male, his 6-foot fin towering like a chieftain's standard, leads his harem of females and any offspring under the age of 2. Someday, one of the male youngsters will challenge his father, then replace him, wresting power by patricide. To hunt, the group combines forces like a pack of wolves. Here in the south of Argentina, they have targeted sea lions. The lead male charges into the rookery. He wants only pups, grabbing the furry creatures one by one and shoving them out to sea. The massive predator bounces his prey from his snout like a cat tossing a mouse around before the final kill. whale's 50-pointed teeth interlock on the upswing of his muscled jaws. He doesn't chew his food. His teeth are made for grabbing and ripping. He swallows large chunks whole. The killer whale is a carnivore, but he is not consistent. Some fishermen in Washington state have corralled several killer whales in a bay north of Seattle. Calypso divers join the beasts.
The whales, we find, love to be caressed. The only time one animal bared his teeth in mild aggression was when a diver showed more attention to another whale. This is the notorious sea monster. Humans find the killer whale's behavior baffling. In some oceans, the beasts eat sea lions. In others, they play with them. Though they are the only animals powerful enough to be a serious enemy of other whales, they have not been known to eat human beings, yet. If humans cannot predict the whale's behavior, it is not because the animals are erratic or irrational killers, but because we do not understand their world. We persist in defining them by human terms. When they hunt, we say they are vicious, remorseless, merciless. When they are playful, even our own divers are tempted to scold them affectionately, as though they were human children. They are not. They are powerful animals who have put aside their power for the moment. Neither are they murderous fiends. They attack a sea lion only in the way we attack our breakfast eggs. They kill to eat. The monster mammal that kills for fun and sport is man.
Just before spring, as the waning winter months become most bitter, harp seals leave the Arctic oceans and migrate south to bear their young. The females of the largest herd come here, to the pack ice off the coast of Labrador. Chief diver Bernard Dalamat flies with the Calypso team to these icy expanses. They will film the newborn seals before the controversial Canadian hunting season opens. The harp seals choose a treacherous nursery. Shifting floes crack and buckle, animals die in winter storms when ice blocks fall like slabs of granite. The adult harp seal, named for the harp-shaped pattern on her back, is protected from the cold by blubber about 2.5 inches thick. Only a 1/4 inch of fat guards her newborn against winds of 15 below. Until he grows plump, his white fetal fur, stained yellow by amniotic fluid, provides special solar heat. But the coat that grants survival also invites death. Humans have taken a fancy to the pelts. Each year before the pups molt their white fur, sealers rush to kill more than half the newborns between 3 and 10 days old. The pups can't dive to safety. They won't learn to swim for a month. As Bernard prepares to dive, He knows that the sea offers only precarious safety. Entry holes often freeze solid, imprisoning those below in a nightmare world without air or exit.
Ça se présente bien?
Regardez le sourire, hein?
Ok.
Adult seals fish and court each other undersea. They can spend half an hour in waters more than a mile deep. To reserve heat, their skin temperatures drop to 1 degree above the waters, just warm enough not to freeze. Their sensitive eyes make the most of whatever emerald light filters through the ice. Suddenly, Bernard returns to the blinding white world above. He has cut his dive short, he says, because the only open surface areas were quickly beginning to ice over.
Il y a un tas de blocs coincés dessous.
The adaptations that seals have made to such perils below are of no help with perils above. In this century, the harp seal population has been cut in half. The Canadian government now limits the hunt to a conservative quota and insists that the species will not become endangered. Because of public outcry, sealers are also required to hit the pups over the head with a regulation club to ensure that they are dead before skinning.
Life goes on. This female has lost her pup. Within moments of its birth, she memorized its scent. And now, among the scattered afterbirth, she sniffs the lookalikes. No other pup can have her milk.
Meanwhile, a debate rages. Enchanted by the wide-eyed pups, some people demand that the kill be forbidden. While government experts are confident about the reliability of their quotas, other scientists say the toll is set too high. Because the carcass is left behind, largely unused, some naturalists denounce the operation as a waste of resources. The pelts are mainly used for fashionable jackets, slippers, key rings, and ironically, stuffed toy seals. Bernard finds a pup buried in the ice. The mother will recognize this one as her own.
The controversy over harp seals is but another entry in this epic tale of unknowns. We know very little about most of the marine mammals we have observed, about their sounds, their intelligence, their chances for survival. The greatest unknown of all is what would happen if any one of them should disappear. Each is an integral part of a world that has been pieced together for millennia. Through the ages, countless creatures have been adapting to the environment. What happens when we try to make the environment adapt to us alone?
Time is running out. Already sealing vessels wait offshore.
Time is running out for humankind as well. For the story of marine mammals is our story as well. In a world older than ours, a naturalist once wrote, they move more finished and complete, gifted with senses we have lost or never attained. They are not brethren, they are not underlings, they are other nations, caught with us in the net of life and time. The death ship waits. Perhaps the mammal that is most unpredictable, incomprehensible, and inexplicable is the human being.
Bye.